Marshall Davis Jones.
Holding space. So I was at a party, and I didn't read any biographies of Steve Jobs. Sorry. But I did hear a story once at a party. Here it goes like this. I was working on the iPod. Engineers came in and said, Steve, this is it. We got it. Here's the iPod. Steve takes it in his hand. Make it smaller. Engineers are like, okay, all right, boom, come back. 2 weeks later, they come, hey, Steve, that's it. We got it. Here you go. Look at that. Reflexes, you learn how to protect these things, right? Get the little foot action there, you know what I'm saying? Steve's. Make it smaller. The engineers are like, really? Yeah, make it smaller. They come back. Third time they come back. They hand the prototype like this. They close their eyes, they smile, because they know they've done it. It's the smallest it's gonna be. Steve, here you go. Steve tosses the prototype into a fishbowl. 3 bubbles come out. Steve says, you see those 3 bubbles? That's air. Make it smaller. Yesterday, Brian Collins said that Steve Jobs invented the iPod or the iPhone and all of these things so that we can do something insanely great. And he denounced the idea that we talk about minimum viable product, MVP. And maybe there's an idea in there, the idea of holding space and making things smaller, this diametrically opposing force. MVP is usually most valuable player, but maybe it's about the most valuable process or the most valuable purpose, holding space. Holding space, holding space. Dan Rome in Blah, 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 What to Do When Words Don't Work says, words unfold over time, images unfold over space. So what does it mean to hold space while I'm trying to use words? It's interesting to think that bodies were cut open right here. So this is where the brain is, the mind, we believe. And let's examine this for a moment, the ideas that can sprout from it. But hold on, we think about dissecting and the idea of dissecting our words. Let's do this for a moment. Virtual etymologically means a virtue. Reality means relation to things. So virtual reality, the virtue of how we relate to things. So let's relate to things for a moment. And we think about the toys we used to use when we were children. When I was young, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were a thing. And maybe there's something appropriate about that, the idea of, just the evolution of time, because at that age, they are teenaged and they are also mutants who believe they're ninjas. But what about the turtles? Why turtles? Curiosity, right? Because there's this idea of time, because turtles live long. But the idea of being a teenager is the shift of life and the beginning of the capacity to make new life. But we got to hold on because you don't want to rush the process. You got to slow things down, learn things in a certain order. There's a story about caterpillars. They were on the chrysalis thing, doing the thing that they do, crystallizing. And there were these 2 boys, and they saw 2 of them. And they saw one butterfly doing like, and the 2 boys were like, that sucked. You saw how much work they had to do. So the next one, we're gonna help them out. So they open up the next one as he starts, or she, or whatever, we don't know. And the wings fall flat, and this butterfly cannot fly. So we don't want to rush the process. And things are happening really fast, aren't they? AI. Holding space. You know, it makes you wonder, what if this is just a really good prompt? What if we are living in man, what a prompt, huh? And the interesting thing about it is, I spent time with a friend, and his baby son did what all babies do once or twice. You give them something. What do? Toss it to the floor. What the? And then you pick it up, and you give it back. And boom, they toss it back to the floor. It's curious, because as we try to figure out a virtual world where we don't feel hurt, it seems that somehow very early in life we try to get used to the idea of feeling pain. As the doctor said, in order for us to find our way to ourselves, we might need to dig a little deeper into that. Where does it hurt? And that's why we decide to hold space. So, space. What about the problem of posting our goals? Maybe they're more goal posts, like that's like Formula One racing, right? Instead of racing to the one formula, the idea of some sort of singularity, I don't think it'll be singular. Again, holding space. We have these images, I'm confident and I'm skeptical. We Star Trek, but we also may Star War. And you may need to hold space for both. I don't know. But we hold space. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there were 4 of them, based on 4 Renaissance artists. And we talked about the idea of the return of the Renaissance. Now, what's interesting is that you have Raphael and Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Donatello, and they wore their things around their eyes. And the purple one was Donatello, probably the least known of the 4. And for some reason, purple is the color we least understand. And sometimes we discover ourselves by deciding that we can be okay with not understanding why or what or how. Because I don't think any of the other turtles really understood what Donatello was doing, but it was useful when he did it. Holding space. And with color, we talked about yellow, right? The joy. We're supposed to want joy, but we toss it away, from here. Maybe there's something about that idea that we go deeper into the pain so that we can hold space. Words unfold over space. Words unfold over time. Images unfold over space. Now, here's the thing here. Art is a medium, and we are all on this mid-journey to create images with the right prompt. But we need all of the imaginations, every single one of you, every single set of eyes has its own perspective and vantage point. Virtual reality, the reality of how we relate to things, holding space. Now, Steve Jobs said, make it smaller, right? Now, I think most of us believe that making it smaller meant making it smaller, compressing, tighten, and maybe that's true. But another way to make it smaller, you can zoom in, but you can also zoom out. It's the idea of recognizing from dust we began and from dust we shall return, and recognizing in the dust in the ground as mom passes away through time, we see the image of the whole universe to give us a sense of rebirth. So we're no longer trying to hold space in front of our faces, but we hold space and we try to zoom out to make it smaller, because when you see the planet from that far away, you realize that it might make you a little angry that you can love the planet so much. And maybe that's the point why love and anger are so interconnected, because the people that we love and the things we care about have the greatest capacity to make us so angry. And we care a lot about, whether or not we're left on red. And it gives us the blues. It's color confusion, and we hold space. We hold space. I wish there were enough words to make sense of it all. But we keep trying. Faraday had no formal education. I think that's funny, because somewhere in the basement, he's the foundation of this form of education. But sometimes you have to ignore the education to be an astronaut, because guidance counseling isn't always the wisest counseling, But we hold space. We hold court. We hold. The pandemic took away our capacity to hold, didn't it? A hug really would have helped for some of us. And so we're here. Kin, aptly named, Originally, sense of family, sense of connection. We hold space for each other. And twin. It's interesting, the idea that when the cells split, like they split. We start as one thing, space, boom, and then we split. So I don't think it's about the singularity so much, because once we get there, we'll just split again. And it'll be like the Force. And the Force will be with us. So we hold space, the past, the present, and the future. And I don't know where this is going to land, but I'm probably imagining it's a good time to figure it out. Star date. Stardate 06022023. We find ourselves at a new edge, a precipice. We are here to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, and to boldly go where no one has gone before. So we don't know. We spent the last 3 days to leave here knowing that we don't know. Socrates, the greatest philosopher some consider, realized that he does not know. And the more comfortable we can get with that, the more willing we will be to venture out, and the greater chance that something unimaginable we can find. And I think that's a great place to land. Thank you.
I think that's a great place to land. Thank you, everybody.